My golden sister secretly dated my fiancé. I exposed their escape plan at the wedding rehearsal. My name is Hannah, I'm 27, and I once believed my life was paradise. You know, like those magazine stories where a girl in white marries her perfect man? That's how I felt when I met Tyler. We were both 23, and I thought I'd found my prince. He was smart, not boring, but funny, supportive, and a real friend. Charismatic, too. When Tyler entered the room, all eyes turned to him, like he was the only light. And most importantly, he was in love with me. Or so I thought. We planned the wedding, and every detail was perfect. Dress, decorations, guests. I imagined standing at the altar, his hand in mine, saying, "I do." Then came the interruption. Sarah. Ah, Sarah. My 25-year-old younger sister, the family's princess. With her golden curls and bright blue eyes, she always shone. Our parents adored her as if she was a masterpiece, while I was the other sister. She was the beautiful, kind, and popular one. I was just Hannah. When Tyler proposed, Sarah was ecstatic. She hugged me tight, volunteering to be my maid of honor. I thought it would bring us closer, but I was wrong. I noticed Tyler and Sarah getting too close. At first it was little things. Her hugs lingered, her teasing was constant. "Tyler, you're the savior of all girls." She laughed at every joke, no matter how dull, as if he was the funniest man alive. And he? He blushed and smiled, charmed. I told myself it was jealousy, a paranoia that everyone was after my happiness. She's my sister, I thought. She'd never do that. But one dinner changed everything. While the family gathered in the living room, I caught them exchanging a look. They thought I wouldn't notice, but I did. It was a shared secret. Sarah quickly looked away, focusing on her wine, but my suspicion was confirmed. I stared at Tyler, but he continued talking to my father, as if nothing happened. That's when I knew something was definitely wrong. It started with little things, you know? Tiny details only I noticed. Sarah always had excuses to stay at our place longer. "Oh, I forgot my scarf. Can I come back to get it?" Or, "Your home is so cozy. One more cup of tea?" I felt like a stranger in my own space. When Tyler sat next to me, she'd use her secret weapon. That smile that could melt anyone's heart. And the touching? Oh, she'd casually touch his shoulder like it was normal. "Oh, Tyler, you're so strong," she'd say when he opened a jar or moved a chair, as if no one else could open a jar. Naturally, he'd blush, soaking up the attention. His jokes? She laughed at every single one, even the worst. "Tyler, you're so funny," she'd say, and her laugh seemed to echo everywhere. He lit up under her attention, like a kid getting a giant candy. When Sarah was around, I could have vanished, and he wouldn't have noticed. His eyes sparkled when she walked in and dimmed when he looked at me. I tried to brush it off. "Hannah, you're just being jealous," I told myself. She's my sister. He's my fiancé. It's normal they get along. But deep down, I felt something was off, and I tried to silence that feeling. You notice oddities, but you call it paranoia. Then came that dinner, a family gathering I was excited about. We were all around the table, chatting, laughing. Then I saw it. A glance they exchanged, quick but telling. It felt like cold water splashed over me. Did I just see that? I wondered, but they were acting normal. Sarah laughed her usual laugh, and Tyler's eyes stayed on her, ignoring me. That night was the end of my peace. I watched them, studying every move, every look. I searched for proof, but there was nothing clear. Everything seemed normal, except the feeling I didn't belong in my own life. Their closeness became undeniable. They sat too close, exchanged subtle compliments that made me uneasy. When Sarah said Tyler reminded her of a hero from her favorite movie, I nearly choked on my coffee. "Are you kidding?" I thought, but forced a smile. Tyler, instead of backing off, just laughed. "Oh, stop it, you're too kind." That's when I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. Doubts began to eat me alive, like a hungry beast. I dissected every detail, every glance, every overly friendly word. It all turned into a mask of distrust, clearly visible on my face. I knew I had to act, but she's my sister. Was I really going to break my family over a few suspicions? It felt insane. Yet every attempt to calm myself only brought back my anxiety, stronger than before. The wedding day was looming, and I could barely breathe under the weight of my thoughts. One day, when Tyler said he'd be working late, I snapped. He kissed me on the cheek and left, leaving me alone in our quiet living room. Sit and wait? No way. Doubts were tearing me apart. I grabbed his phone, left on the kitchen counter. It's now or never, I thought, feeling my heart race. I knew it was wrong to look through his phone, but what choice did I have? I opened his messages, and everything seemed innocent, until I found a hidden chat, a secret app, hidden texts, all from Sarah. A chill ran through me, but I read on, hands shaking. Their messages were full of flirtation and secrets that had no place in my life. They spoke of special moments and little secrets. Then I saw it. The message about running away together the day before the wedding. "Are you kidding me?" I whispered, almost crushing the phone in rage. I read it again, hoping it was a cruel joke. But no, there it was. The plan laid out clearly. My hands trembled, and my world blurred. It was a punch to the gut, and tears burned in my eyes. The tiny black box in my hand was proof of a betrayal I never imagined. Keep silent? No chance. This was more than just a betrayal. It was a blow to my future. I wouldn't let them get away with it. If they wanted drama, they'd get it. The idea hit me like lightning. The wedding rehearsal. That's where I'd reveal everything, in front of everyone, so they'd see their true faces. The next day, when Tyler came home, I was ready. I greeted him with a smile, as if nothing had changed. It was agonizing, pretending to be the happy bride while boiling inside. Everything had to be perfect. I waited, holding it together for the rehearsal day. My pain and rage fused into a crazy plan, straight out of a soap opera. But when you're betrayed by those closest to you, consequences stop mattering. I was set on a real show. The plan was simple but bold, not just to expose them, but to do it so they'd never be able to face anyone again. First, I ensured everyone involved in the wedding would be at the rehearsal. Not just family and friends, but all the vendors. The photographer, decorators, florists, even the venue manager. When I made my move, they'd all see it. I wanted them to witness the fall of those who thought they knew us. They planned to announce their escape at the rehearsal, turning it into some romantic revelation. Perfect. I would be the director of this drama. While they plotted, I played the flawless bride, smiling while a storm raged inside. Seeing them together made me want to lash out, but I held back. The best strikes are delivered at the most unexpected moments. I gathered all their secrets, every whisper, every chat, screenshots, audio files, you name it. Enough evidence to make denial impossible. But it wasn't just about catching them. I wanted them to feel my pain and humiliation. Preparing for this finale became almost enjoyable. I knew what to say, how to say it, and the look on their faces when everyone expecting a fairy tale wedding saw the ugly truth. I even prepared a few biting lines about their romantic escape. Something like, "You thought you could just waltz off together? This isn't a rom-com. Welcome to reality, where lies catch up faster than I do." I imagined their faces each time I rehearsed in the mirror. I couldn't wait to watch everyone who believed in their pure love start to whisper and shake their heads. My sister and ex-fiancé would stand at the center of it all, confused and exposed. Their perfect illusion of happiness would shatter, and I'd finally regain control. I was ready. The rehearsal day arrived, and my nerves were stretched tight. Anger, pain, anticipation. It all boiled inside me. This was my moment, and I couldn't afford to mess up. Sarah and Tyler looked disgustingly sure of themselves, as if their little game had gone unnoticed. Her hair was perfect, and he, casually charming as ever, kept smiling. They looked like a couple from a fake perfect shampoo ad. I kept calm, cold even, as I greeted the guests, smiling, hugging relatives, asking how their trip was and if they were ready. Inside, I imagined their perfect world crumbling, fueling my composure. They thought their secret was safe, sharing smiles and touches, thinking they had everything under control. I saw Sarah's hand lightly touch Tyler's shoulder, and he responded with a beaming smile. Enjoy it while you can, I thought, because soon it'll all go up in flames. Finally, the moment arrived. Everyone gathered, the mood light and happy, but I knew it would change. I stood, took the microphone, and started speaking, calmly, with a smile. Dear friends and family, I said, thank you all for your help and support in planning this event. Applause followed, and I went on about how perfect the preparations were until I abruptly stopped. I paused, taking a deep breath, then slowly turned to Sarah and Tyler. A heavy silence settled over the room. They immediately sensed something was off. Sarah's face showed confusion, and Tyler paled. They didn't see this coming. I allowed myself a small smile, a victor's smile. But you know, friends, I continued, eyes fixed on them. There's something I'd like to share before we continue. The room went silent. Every eye was on me, but mine were locked on them. Their faces drained of color, like deer caught in headlights. Tyler, Sarah, is there something you'd like to tell everyone? I asked, fighting back a sarcastic grin. Sarah turned scarlet, and Tyler's mouth hung open, words failing him. I looked around the room and continued. Planning a wedding is stressful, but you know what's harder? I paused, relishing the tension. Finding out that your sister and your fiancé have been playing games behind your back. Silence fell over the room like a bomb had gone off. Sarah grabbed Tyler's hand, but he pulled away as if burned. What are you talking about, Hannah? He stammered, but it was too late. I let out a laugh. Oh, don't play dumb, I said, pulling out my phone. Let's show everyone what's been going on. And I began reading their messages out loud. Funny how some people can betray those closest to them right in front of everyone, I said, my voice laced with venom that sent chills down the room. The silence was deafening. Sarah turned pale, as if I'd slapped her in front of everyone, and Tyler jumped up trying to stop me. Hannah, what the hell are you talking about? But I wasn't backing down. This was my moment. I met his gaze, opened my phone, and began reading their messages. The first line drew whispers, the second, gasps. Oh, Tyler, you're so much more fun to be around than Hannah. I mimicked Sarah's sweet voice. Tyler went red, and Sarah looked desperate, trying to play it off as a misunderstanding. Let's just run away together, Ty. No one will understand our love, I continued, enjoying every second. Some covered their eyes, unable to bear the scene, but I pressed on, determined to reveal everything. Tyler lunged for the phone, but I stepped back. Don't even try, sweetheart, I said, holding him off. You've had your fun. Now it's my turn. His face twisted in rage and fear. Meanwhile, Sarah, desperate, edged towards the exit, but I cut her off. Not so fast, I smirked. You're not going anywhere. She froze, and I resumed reading. I laid out every fake compliment, every cheesy declaration. You're the only one who gets me, Sarah. I mocked Tyler's tone, fighting back laughter. The crowd held their breath, shock and disgust written on their faces. This wasn't the rehearsal they expected. It was a scandal unfolding before their eyes. Faces changed, surprise, shock, disgust. My mother covered her face, my father turned crimson, and others just stared in disbelief. They had come for a rehearsal of love, only to witness a betrayal. Then I reached the final line. Their plan to escape the night before my wedding. Tomorrow night, just you and me. We'll be free, I read, feeling a lump in my throat. A heavy silence settled, thick enough to cut. Sarah collapsed, sobbing in the middle of the room, while Tyler stood there, frozen, lost. I tossed the phone on the table and smirked. Well, guess you two didn't expect this kind of audience, huh? The crowd exploded, as if I had just tossed a lit match into a gasoline can. A whisper spread like a wave, growing louder and louder, turning into something akin to a roar of shock and condemnation. The guests who had just been smiling and wishing us happiness were now looking at Sarah and Tyler as if they were two criminals caught red-handed. I can't believe this. I heard someone's voice from the side, and a murmur rippled through the rows. Sarah, panicking as she realized it was all over, broke down crying like her life had just ended. She fell to her knees right in front of me, clutching the hem of my dress like a lifeline, begging for forgiveness. "Hannah, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen." Her voice trembled, and tears streamed down her cheeks. Honestly, it looked pathetic. In another moment, I might have felt sorry for her, but not today. "Are you kidding me, Sarah?" I leaned down and looked straight into her tear-filled eyes. "Do you really think your crocodile tears are going to fix this mess?" I could practically feel my words hitting her like slaps. She kept muttering something about a mistake, about a second chance. But I had already shut my ears to her excuses. Meanwhile, Tyler stood there like a lost puppy who had just realized he was trapped. He glanced around, clearly looking for support, but none of the guests even thought about defending him. The people who used to smile and pat him on the shoulder now looked away and whispered among themselves, casting glances full of disdain. It was as if, in an instant, he had gone from everyone's favorite to a total outcast. "Well, Ty, looks like your fan club just cancelled your membership." I couldn't resist the sarcasm, watching his face grow paler. He opened and closed his mouth, trying to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. He looked like someone had just knocked the wind out of him, leaving only an empty shell behind. And you know, that suited me just fine. I glanced at my parents. Their faces were a mix of horror, disbelief, and, yes, likely a sense of betrayal. They looked at Sarah like she was a stranger, as if standing before them was someone completely unfamiliar. My father was red with rage, while my mother looked like she'd just heard the worst news of her life. They didn't know what to say, and honestly, I didn't even expect them to find the words for all of this. And me? I stood in the middle of this chaos, among these shattered illusions and broken hopes, and finally felt relieved. It was as if a huge weight that had been crushing me all these weeks had suddenly disappeared. I had proven the truth, and now it was over. But with that came a sense of emptiness. I looked at the people who had been a part of my life and realized that after this, everything would change. Forever. They were no longer my family. I was no longer the Hannah they knew. After the big reveal reached its explosive finale, I just turned and left the rehearsal without looking back. Sarah and Tyler stayed in that crumbling theater to deal with the mess they'd created themselves. I felt like a heroine in the final scene of a thriller, where all the secrets are finally exposed, and the main villain gets what they deserve. In my case, it was something like watching the Titanic sink in front of everyone who had expected a beautiful romantic wedding. The wedding, of course, was cancelled. What else was there to do? And no, I wasn't going to bother with long explanations. Let people guess for themselves. It was actually amusing because the whole town was abuzz with rumors and whispers. People whispered behind my back, trying to piece together what exactly had happened. Everyone wanted a piece of this dirty drama, as if it was the best show of the year. That was fine with me. I gave them a show, and they got what they wanted. Sarah, of course, tried to salvage her reputation. She started going around to our acquaintances with a pitiful, defeated dog look, telling everyone who would listen that it was all a big mistake and that she never meant to hurt me. Oh, please. Her apology sounded so fake that even those who were initially her fans began to turn away. No one believed her anymore. And honestly, that felt pretty damn good. As for Tyler, he just disappeared. Poof. Gone. I heard he moved out of town and that his business, that supposedly successful project he was so proud of, went under. Rumor had it that he just stopped showing up at the office, and all his clients dropped him. Well, that's karma for you, buddy, I thought every time I heard another piece of news about his downfall. He lost everything. His job, his reputation, me. Though he'd lost the last thing long before. And me? I pulled myself together and started over. A new chapter, without lies and betrayal. The first thing I did was change my surroundings. I threw out everything that reminded me of them, repainted the bedroom walls, and decided that my home would now only reflect me. No Tyler, no Sarah, No ghosts from the past. I finally felt the freedom I had been searching for. Yes, this story left a deep mark. It took me time to get over it, to stop going back to that horrible day in my mind. But I did it. And you know what? I realized something important. Now I can only trust myself and my intuition. All those perfect people, all those pretty words. It all turned out to be dust. In the end, I was left alone. But I liked it. I felt stronger than ever. I no longer looked to others for validation. I became the main character of my own life, and everyone else could stay in the audience,